Today's video is sponsored by PotownStore.com, the best place to get yourself some TCG code cards. They are compatible with TCG Live, and you can of course get everything on the website for 5% off using the coupon code ZapDoesTCG. This video is also sponsored by Cardmarket.com. This is a European platform where you're able to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. I personally use it every single day, and you can do it as well. And you can use the referral name ZapDoesTCG to help support the channel. This video is also sponsored by YourPlaymat.com. This is a platform where you're able to, of course, create your own custom playmat. They have, of course, capabilities to ship worldwide, and you can get 10% off by clicking the link down below. So definitely check it out. Last but not least is Dragon Shield, the best brand to protect your beautiful cards. You can of course there's links down below for US and European people, and you can of course get your best quality sleeves available, as well as deck boxes and binders. Thanks so much for sticking around with the commercials. I hope you enjoyed today's upload. If you do, be sure to let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button, and let's get this video going. Sup YouTube, it's ZapDoesTCG here, and welcome back to our TCG video on my channel. On this channel you get daily Pokemon TCG content, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. We are on our way for the 50,000 subscribers, and we're going to do something really special once we hit that number. It's going to be a big live stream, so if you aren't subscribed, be sure to redouble check if necessary, because some people think they are subscribed because they see the daily videos in their feed, but they actually in all theory are not subscribed. So if you would, be sure to check it out. So without further ado, we're going to be talking about the Paldea Evolved tier list. I always do these tier list predictions before the set drops. I already tested a little bit of a couple of decks in this new format, made some new decks with proxies. It is a very fantastic format. Comeback mechanics are back. Some cool cards like Iono, Reversal Energy, Lugia are all cards that make up the comeback potential, and that's very great in the Pokemon trading card game. It's going to be one of the better formats out there. This format will also be played for NAIC, so if you're going to NAIC, these are the decks you need to look out for, because I already take a look at what Japan is doing in this format to see which decks are the best in the format, and this is going to be a tier list prediction. So if your opinion is different, be sure to let me know in the comment section how you would change up some decks in specific tiers, and if I forgot a couple of decks, let me know as well, because these are the decks that I think are very good, or actually could be considered as a deck in the format. Some of them you shouldn't actually play. There's also a tier on the tier list. So without further ado, if you're enjoying the video, slap the hell out of the like button and let's get it on. So let's start off with some new decks first. That's what you're here for, right? So another new deck in the format that's going to be very, very interesting is going to be the Chien-Pao. I think it's going to be a solid tier 1 deck. It's not going to be as broken as like you think, but it's very strong regardless. Excalibur is going to be able to accelerate water energies as often as you like during your turn. So if you have water energies, you can attach them to your Pokemon. There's a crazy couple of cards you can combine it with. Of course, Chien-Pao can get 2 energies from the deck with its ability, and slaps a huge amount of damage with Hail Blizzard, 60 damage for every energy you're willing to discard from your Pokemon. So in theory, if you have like let's say 5 energies, you're slapping 300 damage output. Very easy to set up with Irida. You have Lumineon for Irida, so a very easy to play, easy to set up deck. There's superior energy retrieval to of course get energies back from your discard pile, so you can do it over and over again. It is very fast and aggressive, so it has already proven itself as a very solid archetype in Japan. So I'm putting it here on tier 1. It's going to be on the lower end of tier 1 because there's a lot of tier 1 decks, considerations to be playing at NAIC. So that's going to be a new deck in the format. It's probably going to be the best archetype coming from, of course, the Paldea Evolved set. And there's a great amount of water Pokemon you can include in a deck like this. There's the Kyogre, which allows you to snipe for a huge amount of damage. There is some crazy one prize or so. But it's a one hit KO machine, the Chien-Pao EX, and that's why I think it's very great. Also with 220 HP, you are actually not gonna get destroyed quite easily. There's a couple of decks that are way better than this one, but for now, 220 damage output. Cards like the Arceus are gonna have issues to KO this card regardless. So I'll put it here on tier 1. If your opinion is different, let me know down below. It could even be on the high end of tier 2, but I already saw a couple of results, so I'll put it here on tier 1 for now. It could get lowered down, but not a lot of people are countering this deck as of late, so this is going to be a nice way for the new format as a very consistent deck for sure. Okay, moving forward, what is another new deck as well is going to be the Quaquaval EX. I don't think it's good. You should probably play something else. If you want to be playing a water deck, Chien-Pao EX is the way to go. Even though Quaquaval has 320 HP, its damage output is a little bit interesting, but I wouldn't be playing this. There are better water decks and way faster water decks out there. Another deck I wouldn't play is Flamigo in a format with the Lost boxes everywhere. Flamigo is a little bit reminiscent of something like Mad Party or Night March, if you know that. Dangerous Wing slaps 20 damage for every Pokemon in your discard pile with Flamigo. There is a Ditto in the format allowing you to copy that attack. So with like 12 Pokemon out there, you could slap 240 damage with your Ditto. So that could be interesting, but with Lost Box around and these having a low amount of hit points, I don't see it being a great play. It's a nice one price archetype for sure. Another new deck is Tier 3 is Noivern EX, allowing you to, of course, have some crazy attacks. You can be immune from basic Pokemon with its first attack, and your second attack allowing you to lock the opponent from playing special energies and stadium cards. Very similar to the Shadow Rider that you could also use with Shadow Mist because it requires a psychic energy. Some sort of Noivern EX deck could make its way into the format because, as you all know, these kind of effects are actually pretty strong. We did see that Flying Pikachu won Worlds because it cannot get damaged by basic Pokemon and also has, of course, the crazy effects going around. So Noivern also comes back with that free retreat. So let's see if anybody can make a solid Noivern EX list. For now, it is Tier 3. Some other new decks, Meowscarada EX, also on the low end of Tier 3. It is nice in a Lost Box format where you're able to snipe a lot of opponents for a huge amount of damage. I'll put it in the low end of Tier 3 for now. Maybe it's a little bit better than Noivern as well. But yeah, for every Meowscarada, you can discard a Grass Energy and snipe 3 damage counters. So that's going to be very impactful to, of course, KO a little bit of Pokemon here and there. With the help of Hawlucha, you can even get to like 30, and then the 10 of Hawlucha 70, allowing you to KO something like Comfey, Ralts, etc. So Meowscarada, don't count it out quite yet. If you have a crazy good setup, maybe 4 Battle VIP pass and then a couple of researches here and there so you can get this stuff going. And Rare Candy is going to be probably the way to go, but you could also go for that stage 1 and go for the long term. So that is that. The Lo-Chien with Fortress EX, actually not that good. I'll also put it in don't play this because you're giving up 2 prize cards. I know the Lo-Chien can snap 60 damage for every prize card the opponent has taken, and it could end up to be a very crazy snipe attack, but you're giving up 2 prize cards. I know Iono is still in the format, actually will come in the format, and then you can put the opponent to 4 cards. 4 cards is still way too much, and your Pokemon do have a low amount of hit points, although 230 is nice for a basic Pokemon. The Lo-Chien is definitely not the way to go. I'll put it in don't play this. Any other new archetypes is the Ting-Lu EX, which I'll be putting here on the Tier 2. Ting-Lu has the crazy effect to shut down abilities, and that's actually counting abilities from non-EX Pokemon. So you could be shutting down Refinement from Kirlia, you could shut down Genesect V's ability. There's a lot of abilities you could shut down with Ting-Lu as long as there's a damage counter on the Pokemon with an ability, and Ting-Lu EX is in the active slot. You can shut down that ability if they are non-EX Pokemon, so very good for sure. And there's a deck out there with Hawlucha, as mentioned. You can be getting energies up with Koraidon EX. And there's even the Gutsy Pickaxe to get some energy acceleration going. And this is actually a pretty tanky archetype with the Charm of Courage. You can actually get yourself to some impressive numbers. Even though you don't dish out the biggest damage output in the world, you are tanky and you are shutting down entire engines. Definitely with Iono in the format, I think it's definitely worth consideration. Considering this new archetype. I think that's all for the new archetypes for now. Oh yeah, Skeledirge also low end of Tier 2. It is an archetype, although with Water Chien-Pao around, you do have 340 HP. There's not a lot of like things that could go wrong here because you can of course rely on Cheryl and stuff. I'll put it in the low end of Tier 2 for now. So we have all the new decks out of the way from the Paldea Evolved set. So as you can see, a bunch of archetypes joining the format. Most of them are not good, but we have Chien-Pao EX, which is a solid archetype, as well as Ting-Lu EX. These are going to be the main archetypes from Paldea Evolved. And now with, of course, the introduction of Iono, with Reversal Energy, with Jet Energy, with, of course, Luminous Energy, with Super Rod, there is going to be changing up a whole lot of things in the format, and you are here to check it out. So first of all, what is the best deck in the format? Tier S, undisputed victor from Paldea Evolved, as we saw with the Japanese results, is Gardevoir EX. Gardevoir EX now gains Super Raw, which is insane. If your deck is almost empty, you can Super Raw, Shining Arcana, and if your deck is almost completely empty, you can Shining Arcana instantly for 2 energies to get yourself going. Reversal Energy could work with Shining Arcana as well, so Shining Arcana will be a 2 or a 3 count in Gardevoir as of late. You're going to be a 1 prizer deck is going to be up trading on a bunch of opponents for sure against a lot of decks. You have Iono as your comeback potential, so yeah. Gardevoir just gains too much from the set to not be the tier S deck. There's also the way you could be playing around with Mewtwo, but it's a little bit more clunky. It's still tier 1 though. Gardevoir with Mewtwo VUNIon and the Klefki combination is definitely there. Mewtwo VUNIon is going to be a nice way. Definitely imagine Ionoing an opponent to 1 card while getting the Mewtwo out. That's definitely going to be very great, but it eats up a little bit of consistency, so it goes down to tier 1. Okay. So now we got the best deck out of the way, which are other strong archetypes in the format. Snorlax is going to be a very crazy attacker. The Thumping Snore now gains the Therapy Energy, meaning that it no longer will fall asleep, which is very scary for sure. Lugia still going to be one of the more dominant decks in the format. I know after rotation people thought it was going to die off. There's 2 ways of playing Lugia. I'll put them both in tier 1. You could be playing it with pure the Jet Energies as well as the Therapy Energy. Therapy Energy makes sure that you cannot get paralyzed or asleep, which means Thumping Snore Snorlax is going to be one of the better attackers in the deck as a 1 price Pokemon Slapping 180. And you can also still play the single strike package with Tyranitar, Yveltal, and Stonejourner. Also still works out. Not a lot would change. Maybe you add in 1 or 2 Jet Energies, 1 or 2 Iono, and that's about it. Not a lot of huge changes for Lugia. It was a strong deck before, and it will remain strong in the format with Paldea Evolved. Moving forward, let's talk about some niche archetypes. Kyurem with like a bunch of energies. Yeah, I wouldn't play this. This was a funky meme archetype, and personally, I wouldn't play this in this format, seeing as there's Iono. If Kyurem gets Iono'd and stuff, and you don't with Path, it's gonna be way too hard to come back from that. Okay, other archetypes. I want to talk about Miradion. Miradion is still a solid tier 2 archetype, which is of course able to become very, very aggressive in the early phases of the game, where you're able to use Electric Generator to get yourself going. There's Magnezone V-Star if you want like 2 attacks with 90 to snipe around against Lost Boxers. There's Raikou for the early game aggression. You can even go for the Ampharos EX, which I saw a lot of Japanese people do. So there's a lot of options with Miradion. You can play Raichu, you can be playing Flaffy, yeah, whatever you make. There's always like that one Miradion player getting into top 8, and that's why we are putting it here on tier 2 with Miradion here. Moving forward, let's see here. What are some other great decks in the format? I'm gonna be talking about, yeah, let's talk about Arctina. Arctina, tier 1, definitely a solid deck. We did see that it won Portland, but it's also gonna be doing well post-rotation, actually not post-rotation, with Paldea Evolved, because of the fact that it's, yeah, just a B-stick. Tina with, of course, the Cleansing Gloves, or of course, Choice Belt can do a whole lot of miracles. You're slapping the 310 mark, and with, of course, Arceus being able to have the Path Judge combination, you're gonna be in such a great position. Also with Iono, imagine Path Ionoing an opponent while you slap around with your big 280 HP V-Star Pokemon. That's very great for sure. Also, Arceus decks now get the Spiritomb, which can shut down basic V Pokemon, their abilities. Very great in the form. You could shut down Genesect V, which is gonna be your main issue. Otherwise, you need to play like something like Drapion, but this can just do the trick. Spiritomb shutting down any basic V Pokemon while it's just sitting and chilling on the bench is very great. Also, you have access to Squawkabilly EX if you are whiffing that turn 1 attachment. Squawkabilly can dig a little bit deeper on the first turn of the game, discarding your hand and drawing 6. So you do have that as a little bit of additional consistency, and I would think this is still going to be a tier 1, definitely consideration as a solid deck in the format. Then moving forward, let's talk about Snorlax block, maybe tier 3. There's a still room for some control-ish Snorlax stall, but I think a lot of decks, like with the Jet Energy, that becomes a little bit silly because, oh, you are blocked, you can no longer retreat. Well, who cares? Jet Energy, off you go. I know you could still have the Temple of Sinnoh in play, but they can overlap Temple, attach Jet Energy, and that's why it dropped down a little bit here on the tier 3 spot, Snorlax block. Then Fusion Strike Mew is probably the best way to be playing Mew. There's also still DTE Mew. I don't know which version is better. At the moment, it looks like the better results are from Mew with the Fusion build. So let's put Mew DTE on tier 2 and Mew Fusion build on tier 1. Both Mew lists are still strong, but in this format that keeps on evolving here and there, Gardevoir gets Iono, and I don't know. There's a lot of decks that can like KO Mew VMAX. There's gonna be Zacian V with of course the Sky Seal taking an additional prize. There's Chien-Pao. A lot of these decks can add in as mentioned, Spiritomb. There's also the way to of course play Drapion. There's a lot of Mew counters. I don't know if Mew will definitely be a deck out there, but the better way to be playing it is probably with Mew and the Fusion build. So for now, I'll be putting the tier list like this, maybe a little bit of something around like this. So Mew DTE Fusion build is better. You can of course use Judge and Path. Strong combination against a lot of decks in the format. With Chien-Pao, they have Irida for the Lost Vacuum. The Gardevoir decks will all be playing Worker as of late. They now have the room for it, because Iono gives them the breeding room to, of course, make sure that they can come back in the game. Ionoing a Mew VMAX, and even though you don't run Path yourself, I see a couple of Gardevoir lists playing one copy of Path just for Iono pathing specific archetypes, so I think I'll leave it as it is right now. Then Lost Box. Yeah, Lost Box is still strong, but it struggles from the fact that it is, getting, of course, that Iono treatment. There's still Lost Boxes that are performing very, very well. Iono is not like the best thing ever for Lost Box. In the past, they needed to wait for the Roxanne play, but Sableye spread could still be very strong. You can wait by taking a lot of prize cards, so you are Iono proof, and then take all your prize cards simultaneously. So I would just say the Lost Boxes also in tier 1. Lots of tier 1 decks as of late. Maybe we should put Giratina in the high end of tier 2, and Lugia's still strong. I think all of these decks do belong in tier 1 for sure. So it's a diverse meta, I know. Some of these decks could be lower down, but there's the undisputed best deck in the format being Gardevoir EX. What else are we going to talk about? Tier 3 deck, Dialga VSTAR with Magnezone, also a very fun archetype to be playing around with, so I'm always putting it here. Regigigas, let's talk about Regigigas. For now, tier 3, you can use Luminous Energy, you have the Super Rod, you could be playing a lot of Research. So now all your Regis can attack against, since you're playing the Luminous Energies and at least one basic energy of every type. So one Metal, one Water, one Fighting, 2 Grass maybe because you want to be attacking with the Regidraco that slaps for 240. So it does get the new tools to start swinging. Is it going to be enough? Gardevoir is a deck you don't hit for weakness, so you always have to 2-shot that, even though there's the Terra Spark combination and the Defiance Band with Regidraco to slap to 70 afterwards. It's definitely going to be a hard way. I haven't seen a lot of successful Regi list as of late, so for now tier 3 at least is back in the tier list, so that's definitely worth consideration. Let's see here, moving forward, let's talk about Goodra with Arceus. I've seen a lot of Goodra with Arceus around. I'll put all these Arceus builds in tier 2. I think the one that should be at tier 1 is probably Arctina, as I mentioned. This is probably the better one out of the bunch, but all the other Arceus builds belong in tier 2 for now. They have to be afraid of like the new fighting type archetype coming into the format. They could get Iono'd, and Gardevoir is consistent as ever, and no longer they need to rely on Clara. They can now go for Super Rod, still draw more cards, use that slot to of course use Worker to get rid of the path. I think Gardevoir is going to be very, very strong. I don't know if Arceus decks can deal with that. Then Darkrai, I probably wouldn't play this in this format. Darkrai is not the way to go because it struggles from the fact that it has low amount of hit points. You need to do so much to dish out a huge amount of damage, and other decks like Chien-Pao can just do it way better as a one-hit KO beat stick. So I personally wouldn't play Darkrai. Urshifu, there's still merits to be playing Urshifu with the Inteleon. Has a great matchup against the Lost Boxes, but I expect Lost Boxes to drop down a little bit, so I'd be putting this deck in tier 3 as well. Maybe shutting stuff around a little bit like this. Zoroark. Why would you play Zoroark over anything else? This is a huge beat stick, right? Why wouldn't you play Chien-Pao instead, which is way more consistent? I personally wouldn't be playing Zoroark here. There are way better answers for that, although Zoroark is going to be fast. You're going to be able to lose the prize trades in, of course, combination with that Sky Seal Stone and Gardevoir. With Chien-Pao, you don't have that issue, and that's why the beat stick of the format is, of course, the Chien-Pao. Lugia with Tyranitar, also a better beat stick out there, so wouldn't be playing that. Oinkologne, also, I wouldn't be playing that either. Shadow Rider could slap special energies, but in the format with, of course, basic energies like Chien-Pao, with Gardevoir around, I don't see a room for Shadow Rider to be like a very great deck. Probably putting it in the tier 3 slot for now. Goodra Lost Box is going to be still a strong archetype. Don't count Goodra out just yet. I want to be putting it here on tier 1, but for now tier 2. Tina always belongs in tier 1 because it is seeing a lot of success over in Japan. Palkia, there's better water type. You can have Palkia in the Chien-Pao deck, so I'll put Palkia in tier 3. Unfortunately, it didn't see play right now. Why would it be anything different? I know you have Iono, but you always need to rely on something like Melanie for a deck like that, so there's that. And then a control deck. Control decks are always interesting. The Penny Loop with Mimikyu. I expect some Path to be countering Gardevoir, so Path also shuts down Mimikyu, although they can have sometimes Urshifu V or other decks that could wall. Urshifu cannot take up a huge amount of hit points, like Chien-Pao could just instantly evaporate it, although the deck does gain the new Mimikyu, allowing it to be immune from V Pokemon and EXs, so I'll put it here on the tier 2 slot, right in the middle, because I know Sander will come up with a better way to be playing control. So for now, this is probably the tier list. I don't know if I should change anything else. This is my predictive tier list for Paldea Evolved. Undisputed best deck in format, Gardevoir. The tier 1 decks out there is going to be Lugia, Lost Box, Tina List. Maybe I should put Mew a little bit down since Spiritomb is a card, but I see Mew getting success over and over again. If we take a good look at the Limitless page, I'll do that right away. So to have a little bit of an understanding, there was already a format out there that the Japanese players played in. It was the Niigata tournament, and I'm checking it out right now. So number 1 place was Gardevoir, number 2 place was Gardevoir, then we have Lost Box, Arctina, Lugia, another Gardevoir. There was a Goodra in there, so maybe I'm putting Goodra. It is on the high end of tier 2 though, but Goodra was there. Fusion Mew was there. The only Mews that made it into top 16 were both Fusion builds, so there's a little bit of an underestimating fact that DTE build. DTE build is the less good version of the Mew version, so maybe put this over a little bit here. Yeah, this seems pretty solid for me, right? Ting-Lu still has to prove itself. Hasn't seen any results as of late. The Arceus Lost Box is a little bit of the better archetype, so I'll put this over here. Maybe some Lost Boxes. I don't know if Lost Box will be very afraid of Iono, because they typically draw, and then if they can get Iono every single time, that could be an issue, because they do draw a lot of cards, but in the early phase of the game, if you're not taking a lot of prize cards early on, Iono won't hurt as much. So I am very positive that all of these decks that are right now positioned, the don't play this category is actually pretty good. Tier 3 could be decks that sometimes could see a standout performance. Tier 2 are decks that have a little bit of consistency or matchups issues, and the tier 1 decks just have a good time against almost anything. So this is great. This is Paldea Evolved. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. Helps out in ridiculous ways. And of course, check out our sponsors, PokemonStore.com, the best place for TCG live code cards. Use the coupon code TCG for 5% off on everything on the website. There is yourplaymat.com for, of course, creating your own custom playmat. You can get 10% off today by clicking the link down below. So upload your favorite wallpaper or design, and they turn it into a beautiful playmat. There's Dragon Shield for your sleeves, binders, and deck boxes. Links down below for people from Europe as people from the US. Definitely use that website to get, of course, the best brand to protect your beautiful cards. Last but not least, cardmarket.com, the best place for European players to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. I personally use it every single day. You guys should do that as well. And you can use the referral name TCG to help support the channel. This is what the future looks like. Gardevoir, it's a Gardevoir world. Lugia is still around, Lost Boxes are still around, we get Chien-Pao and Ting-Lu as new archetypes. Mew is still hanging in there, Spiritomb could be a hard counter in combination with Drapion as well, so there's a lot of, if you play Spiritomb and Drapion, Spiritomb shuts out your own Drapion, so choose either one of the bunch. Spiritomb is very great as a way, so Mew can no longer draw cards, and if Mew cannot draw cards, it's just a bad deck all around. You could also just hard counter it with Drapion, but they could be playing Path. Spiritomb is a better answer in the long run. I could also work against other archetypes that play basic V abilities, so take that into consideration. Also, I want to get a little shout out that more EXs are in the format, which is shaping up the format quite nicely. Let me know your thoughts down below. What is your favorite deck from Paldea Evolved? Let me know down below in the comment section, and I will see you guys tomorrow for more Pokemon TCG epicness. Peace!